we will just get started with the homework, I think. I had no questions on this class the other day, so hopefully it all went well. I will be checking your homework in the next hour or so. So if there's any glaring issues with it, I'll address it in the next video, but hopefully not, given there was no questions. So I am here, I'm in the homework journal down here, so I put the work in there, and I might just answer it here because that's normally what I do in class. Okay, so we'll start with question 8, and we need to split this inequality in two. So we have minus 7 less than or equal to 3x minus 1, and just split the page, and then I have the 3x minus 1 less than or equal to 2. Okay, so we will solve them individually. I want the x's over on this side of the inequality, and I want the numbers over on this side. So this is a number on the x side, so I need to get rid of it, plus 7, and balance it with a plus 7. Over on the far side, I have a 3x, so at the moment that's positive. It's on the number side, so I need to get rid of it with a minus 3x, and then balance the minus 3x over here. And the minus 1 is fine, it's a number on the number side. Alright, so we'll tidy up. We've minus 3x here on the left, less than or equal to, they're all gone, so this is just 6, 7 minus 1. We're going to divide by the minus 3 to cancel it, and divide by the minus 3 to balance. So this is now x, which is what we wanted. This, so that's a plus 6, different signs give me a minus, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. And the fact that I divided by the minus 3 means I have to switch this. So greater than or equal to. Same deal on the other side. So x is over here and numbers over here. The 3x is fine. The minus 1 needs a plus 1 to cancel and a plus 1 to balance, and the 2 is fine. So we have 3x less than or equal to 3. We're going to divide by 3 to cancel it. I'm going to divide by 3 over here. So x is, that's 1. I divided by a positive number so I can keep my sign. Okay, so translate, x is greater than or equal to minus 2, and on this side x is less than or equal to 1. Okay, so if x is going to be greater than the minus 2, that means the minus 2 is the smallest, right? I'm just going to change that. So minus 2 is the smallest and 1 is the biggest. So we'll get a line here. Shouldn't need too much. So I'll put minus 2 here, and I'm going to get bigger, so minus 1, 0, and then 1, and that's where we're stopping. So back to the minus 2, is it included as a part of the answer? It is, because it has the equal to, so I'll give it a dot. Minus 1, 0 is 1 part of the answer. It also has an equal to, so yes, it is. And then I need to go back, excuse me, to the question. Look here. So x is an element of real, so do I colour in the line or not? I do, because real numbers include fractions and decimals. So you need to colour in. And that's the first one. less than or equal to 18. Right, so we want the x's over here and the numbers over here. So that 10 needs to go, minus 10, and minus 10 over here. And the 8x needs to go with a minus 8x and a minus 8x over here. The 2 is fine. So that leaves me with minus 8x less than minus 8 to minus 10. We're going to divide by minus 8 to cancel and divide by minus 8 to balance. So we're left with x here. The 2 minus to make a plus and 8 divided by 8 is 1. And then because we divided by a minus, we need to switch the sign. And then over on this side, x is over here, numbers over here. The 8x is fine, the 2 needs to go, minus 2, and then minus 2 over here, and then the 18 is fine. So 8x less than or equal to 16, divide by 8, divide by 8, the 8's cancel. X is less than or equal to 2, and I didn't have to switch the sign because I divided by a positive number. Translate, x is greater than 1 and x is less than or equal to 2. Okay, so if it's greater than 1, that means 1 is on the left, and if it's less than 2, that means 2 is on the right. So this is like a tiny little number line. So 1 is here, and 2 is here, and that's it. Okay. So is 1 an answer? No, it's not. So it's going to need a circle. Is 2 an answer? Yes, it has the or equal to. And now we need to go back and decide if shading is necessary. So natural numbers are whole numbers, so no. There's actually only one answer to that question, it's just 2. Right, so we'll do the last one. Sorry, I might just skip it over so I have to keep scrolling. Right, so the left-hand part is minus 2 greater than minus 1 minus x. And then just put in my dividing line. And then for the right-hand part, I have minus 1 minus x greater than or equal to 5. Alright, so x's need to go over here, numbers need to go over here. That's not an x, so it needs to go, so plus 2, and then put plus 2 over here. The minus 1 is fine, the minus x is not. So I'm going to get rid of that with a plus x, and then balance that with a plus x over here. Okay, so tidy up, I have x here greater than minus 1 plus 2 is just 1. Okay, and then the other side, x's need to be here, and numbers need to be over here. So the 1 is in the wrong place, so plus 1 to get rid of it, and plus 1 to balance. The minus x is fine, and 5 is fine. So we have minus x greater than or equal to 6. There's an invisible 1 there, which I'm going to throw in. And then we're going to divide by minus 1 to cancel it out, and divide by minus 1 on this side for balance. Okay, so it's a little bit weird because they're kind of giving us two things that don't go together well. Now, this can happen. It's just unusual. Right, I will throw in a little, we need a bit of a number line here. Okay, so I'm going to put in the minus 6, and I'm going to work my way to 1, and we'll see what we have. So minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. Yeah? Okay, so let's have a look. This bit here says x is greater than 1. Okay, so greater than 1 means you're going this way to numbers like 2, 3, 4. Yeah? So we'll just concentrate on this bit for a second. Is 1 included? It doesn't have an or equal to, so no. So 2 is included, 3 is included, 4 is included, and it would continue. Yeah? Now this one says x is less than or equal to minus 6. So now we're down here, and we're actually going this way to numbers like minus 7, minus 8. Yeah? Now, before I put dots on here, I just want to draw your attention back to the question. It said that x was a natural number, and natural numbers are positive whole numbers. So even though this bit here is telling me that numbers like minus 7, minus 8, that's what this is trying to tell me to plot, it can't be, because natural numbers are not. I get these to go away now. There you go. Natural numbers are not negative. Okay, so actually we can, even though this solved very strangely, we do get an answer. The answer is numbers greater than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Okay, that last one's a bit of a weird one. But once you understand the maths, that should be fine. So that's inequalities, done. So we are moving on to quadratic equations. There's two chapters, as always. There's the ordinary level chapter and the higher level chapter. So we'll go through the ordinary level chapter, making sure that you're good and you're happy with the concepts and everything, and we'll move into the higher level chapter. I've already showed you how to factorize quadratic equations. This chapter is just showing you how to solve them. So I'm not going to assume you remember, but if you do, it's going to make this chapter a lot easier. Okay? So I don't know if you remember when we did factorizing of quadratic equations, but there are 3. The first one is highest common factor. Second one is difference of 2 squares. And the third one is trinomials, where we did the guide number. Okay, so I taught you how to factorize them, so that was the key word, factorize. This chapter is about solving. Okay, not a massive difference, which you'll see in a second. Okay, so I'm going to concentrate on these two today. That's it. Okay, reminding you how to do it, what it looks like, etc., etc. Okay, so highest common factor is a quadratic equation that has an x squared term and an x term, but no constant term. Okay, so a highest common factor will always only have 2 terms, that's one identifier, and the 2 terms that it will have will be the x squared and the x. It will not have a constant. Okay, so no constant. So things like 6x squared minus 10x, 8x squared plus 4x. Okay, it has the x squared bit, it has the x bit, it doesn't have the number at the end. Okay, so there's one here, 3x squared plus 9x, and we've been asked to factorize it. Okay, so the way you factorize this is you take out what's common to both terms. Okay, so 3 will divide into both terms, and so will x. Yeah? And then what you do is you divide by the common factor. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3x. Yeah? So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And x squared, if you remember, is the same as just 2 x's. So one of these will cancel with the 1 on the bottom, and you're left with 1 behind. The plus is there. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and these x's cancel. So factorized, you get 3x times 1x plus 3. I actually just remembered we did this during the last lockdown. That's when I taught this to you. Okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you, and at that point, they are factors. And you have factorized. Okay, so what you're looking at there is 2 factors. There's the first one, there's the second one. And the skill you have performed there is you have factorized. Okay, so the new skill, the thing that comes up in this chapter, is in part B there, where they ask you to solve. Okay, this is how you solve. Okay, you split your page. Now, did I get that line? Okay, and you put 1, the first factor, on the left and let it equal 0, and you put the second factor on the right and let it equal 0, and you solve. So I want to isolate this x. At the moment it is being multiplied by 3, so I will divide it by 3 to cancel and divide it by 3 for balance. So x equals 0. That's my first answer. And then on the far side, just like we've been doing in the inequalities, I want the x's on this side and I want the numbers on this side. So the x is fine, but the 3 will have to go with a minus 3, and then a minus 3 over here for balance. So we have 1x equals 0 minus 3 is minus 3. And remember, the 1 is an invisible one, so we don't need to use that. You can leave it there if you want. And there's my 2 answers. So now I have solved. These have a name as well. They're called roots. And once you've found the roots, you have solved. So when you find the factors, you have factorized. And when you find the roots, which is what these are called, you have solved. All right, we'll try another one. So part A says a squared minus 11a. So there's an invisible 1 there, which I'll put down. Is there anything common? Well, the 1 is common, and there's an a common. I'm actually just going to move that down a bit. Sorry. The 1 and the a, and then I open up my brackets, and I divide by the highest common factor. So I'm going to divide both of these by 1a. Okay, so 1 divided by 1 is 1. You can write it or not, it really doesn't matter. A squared, remember, is 2 a's. So one of these will cancel with this. So what I have here is 1a. Minus 11 divided by 1 is 11, and the a's cancel. So now they are your factors, and you have factorized. Yeah? So we will split the page. We'll get there. There you go. Right, so the first factor goes on the left, 1a, and you let it equal 0. And the second factor goes on the right, 1a minus 11, and you let it equal 0. So you can divide by 1 on both sides if you want, or you can recognize that that is an invisible 1, in which case that one is actually done. A equals 0. On this side now, I want my a's over here, and I want my numbers over here. So the a is fine, the minus 11 is not, so plus 11, and then plus 11 over here. So 1a equals 11, and again, that is an invisible 1. So you can put it, get rid of it, and you have a equals 11. So now you have found your roots, and you have solved. Yeah? I actually think I might leave it at that. At least you can learn the skills one at a time again. So hopefully you remember that. But just when it dawned on me there that we actually did this during lockdown, I'm not sure, I suppose, how well you all know it. So have a look, you can pause them and go over them again. Also, go back on videos on YouTube from last year when we did highest common factor, and I'll obviously have taught this process again. But that's it. You find the highest common factor, which is the number that divide, the number and the letter that divide into both terms. You divide by that term, and that gives you the bracket. So that technically is revision, because like I said, we did it before. And then this bit at the end is the new bit, where you solve. Okay, so I'm going to take this out, and we'll do difference of two squares the next day. So highest common factor, it's the first of the quadratic equations. You need to be able to recognize it. You recognize it because it has two terms. Those two terms will be the x squared term and the x term. There will be no constant term. So once you've established that it's the highest common factor, you find that factor. So what number divides into 3 and 9? 3. And what letter is common between x squared and x? The common letter is x. Divide by that common factor, and that's how I got what's in the bracket. And then I split it up. I took my first factor here and let it equal 0, and then I took my second factor here and let it equal 0, and then I solved. And repeated that here. Now, there was a part C to this, so I just want to do it rather than ignore it, although I think you know how to do it. And so that's part B. So part A was factorize, which is what we did. Part B was solve, which is what we did. Part C then, part C is verify. Now we did verification. Sorry, I'll show you later. We did verification recently. Do you remember when we were doing surds? So verification is just proving that your answers are right. So a squared minus 11a. So for part C, a squared minus 11a. And the first answer, so it's supposed to be equal to 0. Okay, that's the equation we solved. So let's see. If I use my first answer, which is this one, a equals 0. So I'm going to take the a's and replace them with zeros. So 0 squared minus 11 times 0 equals 0. 0 squared is 0, 11 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 0 is 0. True. And now let's try it with our second one. So if a is 11, does it work? So 11 squared minus 11 times 11 equals 0. 11 squared is 121, minus 11 by 11 is 121, equals 0, and that's true. Okay, so you're just using your roots, your two answers, subbing them back in, and checking if the equation works. And the equation we were solving was, it's always equals 0. The equation we were solving was a squared minus 11a equals 0. Okay, that's why in both of them, I let it equal 0 at this bit. See here? Okay, when you're doing these quadratic solving, you're always letting it equal 0. Okay, so take your notes down. And nobody used it the other day, but if anybody has any questions, there is a space in the collaboration space to fill in your questions, please. Your homework, which is due for Friday morning, is going to be now. Let's do 13, 15. Yeah, 13 and 15, okay? So I'll put them into the homework journal and please get them done. They're due for 9 o'clock on Friday morning. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, put them into the collaboration space under this video, which is solving quadratic equations 1. Was there one more thing? Oh yeah, this process, as in you doing your maths class, is supposed to take about what it would take if you were in school. So if you bear in mind that in school you have an hour-long class and then you go home with, I don't know, what would it be, 20 minutes, half an hour homework maybe? This is meant to take about the same amount of time. Okay, so to watch the video, to make the corrections to your homework, take down any notes, and do your homework should take about an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half kind of time. Okay, if it's less than that, great. If it's more than that, if it's more than that by 2 or 3 minutes, you're grand. But you should not be spending 2.5 hours doing your maths. Okay, it should be equivalent to what you would normally spend in school if you combine your class time and your homework time. Okay, if there's an issue with that or if I'm putting too much content in, you need to let me know. All right, so I will talk to you on Friday.